Hi, y'all. It's Rick here again with Uncommon Communion. Thanks for joining me today on this very special day in the liturgical calendar. It is the Solemnity of the Annunciation. Let us begin as we always begin by recognizing, realizing, and affirming that we are always and everywhere in the holy presence of God. Before we talk about this special day, and I have a couple of things to read to you and a prayer to offer, I want to just say a couple of words, a few words about this unbelievably stupid and dangerous scandal that is unfolding regarding the Signal uh, text chain that the highest people in the government were using illegally, irresponsibly, dangerously to share and talk about war plans. And I could say a lot about this, the hypocrisy and just the idiocy, the stupidity of this. But I don't want us to spend our time on that. I hope you hear that and get that elsewhere. What I do want to say is this, y'all, is that we need to start intentionally and compassionately reaching out to people who supported Trump, who voted for him. Now, there are quite a few people in this country that's going to be really hard to begin to change their minds. Many people just voted for him not because of a particular love or a particular worldview. They really just thought that he would do something different and be something different than we are seeing. And especially those are the people we need to talk to. And we need to talk to them to persuade them because we need them as we think about what happens next. We need them when the midterms come up. We need them when the next presidential election comes up. And quite honestly, friends, we need them when major, massive street rallies and protests and maybe even work stoppages will need to take place because we know those are coming. We know that Trump will defy a Supreme Court ruling that he doesn't like. And we know that we will need everybody possible to be in the streets, to be speaking up, to be defending our democracy. So I invite you to start, especially with something like this today, to talk to those people and to do it in a spirit of love and compassion. I know that's really, really hard, but I think it's time because I think we have here something that is so clearly wrong and insane that isn't complicated. I think we all understand this. And I think if we can begin to say to people that, maybe supported the hymn is we need to do something different. I think we have a talking point. We have a place that we can enter. I do want to say this, and I think this is really important, is there is still a lot of the whataboutism and the but, right? Fortunately, we have these people like Hegseth and others on tape, on recording, saying how terrible the buts were, Hillary's emails and so forth. What we are seeing today with this breach of security is I mean, it's so far beyond what that was potentially. This is. So there is no whataboutism there. There is none of that. And if somebody tries to bring that up to you that you are in conversation with, I invite you to gently but firmly say, no, there is no but here. We have never seen this before, right? And the scary thing is, y'all, and I'm sure you've heard this, is that if they're doing this on Signal in such a reckless way, they're doing it on Signal with other things in the government. So we have no idea. And we need our elected officials. We need everyone speaking up to do something, to investigate this, and to really make sure that this doesn't happen again and isn't happening elsewhere. So that is all I will say on that for today. And um, let's talk about the incarnation, which begins in the Annunciation. So you wonder why it's on the 25th of March? Well, if you do the math, you look at the calendar, 9 months to Christmas from today. So that is what we are celebrating, the beginning of what is going to come to fruition at Christmas, which is the Feast of the Incarnation. And I'd like to read to you from the story of this moment. And I'm going to read to you from a translation that I think for me really opens a familiar story in an unfamiliar yet illuminating manner. This is from the First Nations translation. I've used this frequently in my written stack, and I really do hope that you will check this out because I think it is such a wonderful work and of creativity and insight and scholarship. I just love it. So here is the story. We start with the angel appearing. The angel says, "He will be greatly," excuse me, I started a little bit too far. "Creator's mighty one, Gabriel, said to her, 'Greetings, highly favored one. You are close to the Great Spirit and greatly honored among women.' Bitter tears, Mary was deeply troubled by this greeting and wondered what the Spirit messenger would say. 'Do not fear,' he comforted her, 'for you have found goodwill in the eyes of the great mystery. You will be with child and will give birth to a son. You will name him Creator Sets Free. He will be greatly honored, the son of the one above us all. He will be a great chief like his ancestor, much loved one, David, and will sit in his seat of honor. He will always be chief over the tribes of wrestles with Creator, Israel. His chiefly guidance will never end.' She asked, 'How will this be, since I have never been with a man?' Creator's mighty one, Gabriel, answered, 'The Holy Spirit will spread his wings over you, and his great power from above will overshadow you. This holy child born to you will be the son of the one above us all.' Then to encourage her, he said, 'Your cousin, Creator is my promise, Elizabeth, who was called barren one, is 6 moons with child. See, there is nothing too hard for the Great Spirit.' 'I am Creator's servant,' she said with boldness. 'Let it be for me just as you have said.' Then Creator's chief spirit messenger left her." I love this telling of the story for so many reasons. And I think what it is telling me is that the incarnation, God, creator of everything, the more, as I describe God, the great mystery, as this translation describes God, isn't just standing outside of creation, like someone in the audience watching a play. Rather, they are entering into creation, like the author of the play entering in as a character, as a central character who knows the play inside and out because they wrote it, they created it. That is what God is doing here in the incarnation. And very wise people, many of them Franciscans, Father Richard Rohr and others, have said that salvation, the sanctification of creation, of you and me and everything within creation, begins in this moment, in the incarnation. And it comes to fruition, to the fullness in Jesus's death, resurrection, and ascension, which we call the Paschal mystery. But that's not that's not the only moment. There's some people who you'll hear say, it's all about the cross and the sacrifice and the atonement and Jesus died and all of this, right? And that is true. There is a value to that. And yet it is the incarnation that is the salvific event brought to fruition in the passion and the resurrection. Always the passion and the resurrection. Those two always have to be discussed together because they are the salvific event. So I want to close with some words that I think are very apt for today. It's a poem and then a prayer. Both of these come from a wonderful little book that I have not referenced yet. I will put the link to it in the notes. The author is escaping me. I apologize. I don't know their name. What they have done, though, is remarkable. They have taken the prayers of the hours, the divine office, the prayers of the church, and they have taken Thomas Merton's great amount of writing and they have taken pieces of that and put it into the framework of prayers of the office, the hours. So what you can do, as I have done before, is use this as a prayer book, all Thomas Merton's words in the form of the office. This particular prayer comes from Wednesday, and it is dusk. So if you want to look that up in this book, highly recommend it. This is what Father Merton, Thomas Merton, says. He says, ashes of paper, ashes of a world wandering when fire is done. We argue with the drops of rain until one comes who walks unseen, even in elements we have destroyed. Deeper than any nerve, he enters flesh and bone. Planting his truth, he puts our substance on. Air, earth, and rain rework the frame that fire has ruined. What was dead is waiting for his flame. Sparks of his spirit spend their seeds and hide to grow like irises born before summertime. These blue things bud in Israel. The girl prays by the bare wall, between the lamp and the chair. Framed with an angel in our gallery, she has a richer painted room, sometimes a crown, yet 7 pillars of obscurity build her to wisdom's house, an ark and tower. She is the secret of another testament. She owns their manna in her jar. 15 years old, the flowers printed on her dress cease moving in the middle of her prayer. When God, who sends the messenger, meets his messenger in her heart, her answer between breath and breath rings from her innocence, our sacrament. In her white body, God becomes our bread. I love that. I love that he captures this young girl that Mary almost certainly was, and how God meets God in her. And it is from her that God becomes our bread, our nourishment, our life, our Eucharist, our communion. So this immediately follows. And I when I saw this today, I just was so moved, because this prayer that, again, Thomas Merton offered in his writings back in the 1960s, this feels very apt for today. So I will pray this in the spirit of Thomas Merton. We pray. Almighty and merciful God, Father of all, Creator and ruler of the universe, Lord of history, whose designs are inscrutable, whose glory is without blemish, whose compassion is inexhaustible, in your will is our peace. Teach us to be long-suffering in anguish and insecurity. Teach us to wait and trust. Grant light, grant strength and patience to all who work for peace. To this Congress, our president, our military forces, and our adversaries. Grant us to see your face in the lightning of this cosmic storm. O God of holiness, grant us to seek peace where it is truly found. In your will, O God, is our peace. Thank you for joining me today. Blessing and good. Be well.